forward packets. That's what they do. They just forward packets. They don't do anything more than that. They just forward packets. That's what switches does. So a switch is it forwards packets. Can you see my? Let me just make sure you're seeing my screen. Can you guys see my screen, please? Just making sure. Let me share. Let me stop share and share again. Oh, you can. Oh, okay. My fault. I thought you couldn't see it. Okay. All right. So switches forward packets, and their frames. Then routers. They just look for the best part. A route, like a route, going through a route. Look at taking GPS. The packets come in. The router looks for what's the best route for this packet, for your laptop, for your iPhone. So in most cases, you need a router when you, for those that have internet at home, if you most you have a modem and a router. The modem is provided by your internet service. Now, some modems also act as routers, you get, but you need a router to route traffic. If you have a fridge that is intellectual, is it intellectual or is a technological? I went to Home Depot some weeks ago. And I saw some fridge now you can, it has video, it has app, almost $3,000. Like, dang. That's a lot. I was just walking around. My wife was going to buy something. I was just, looking around and I saw the fridge. So if you have a fridge that is like that, where you can put in like a list, all those things, that fridge you have an IP address. For those that have smart TV, if you watch YouTube on your TV, if you watch shows on it, Netflix, that TV has an IP address. Your phone has an IP address, of course, private IP address. Anything that is useful that it has the internet facing has an IP address. So your router route packets, they route packets, and you see packets in firewalls as well. So firewall is also on the network layer, because you have packets coming in, and those packets are what you investigate. As I said before, last we're gonna ask that question, that if somebody, I worked on somebody's firewall tickets and they're telling me that it's not working, what do you do? And the first thing to do is to check the logs, the firewall logs, what is there. And that firewall logs, you put in the source IP address, source IP and destination IP address. You put in those two and you choose a level in terms of the time frame. Last 15 minutes, last 1 hour, last 6 hours, next 9 hours, some everyone last 24 hours, last 48 hours, last 30 days, whatever you want to do. Of course, the more time you put in the time range, the more time it takes for it to load. You get what I'm saying? So it will load, you will check to see if the source and destination is there. If you don't see anything going through the firewall, nothing, it means that the packet is not hitting the firewall. So you go back to them and let them know, hey, you asked me to check, I'm not seeing anything hitting the firewall. It's not a firewall issue. If the firewall was dropping your traffic, I will see deny. I will see deny on the packet. Like, you see it. I wish I could show you. Maybe what I would do is that I would try and connect my own home firewall. I had one here, but maybe I will also I have a new one. Maybe I'll use that one. Let's see. As Lord give me the just that I'm very busy now. This week I'll be very busy, to be honest. So I'm not sure if I'll have time for that. But by God's grace, hopefully we can show you that part. So you see it's showing there. So go and investigate. Now, if you see it getting denied, maybe you put it in your firewall logs and you see that, okay, the traffic is getting denied, and you see the firewall is getting denied. That means that you have not put the rule in that firewall. Most companies have plenty firewalls. They don't have one firewall. A company can have up to 100 firewalls. You get what I'm saying? So what they will do is, when you resume your job, for those that work firewall, they will give you what I call what do you call that thing again? Oh, sorry, mind is keeping my mind. I'll let you know. A topology. The network topology gives you everything. Like, I have one here, you won't see it, but it's blood. This one for the company where I currently work for. They have like their corporate firewalls, their backend firewall. It show you all the IP addresses behind the firewall. So even when you are trying to implement the firewall, if you just check the that list, you will see where it is. Now, most companies make it very easy. They make it very easy. So if I'm trying to implement a firewall rule and you give me a ticket, and most tickets come with something called service now. You understand? So if you don't know it now, you don't worry, you understand. Service now is a ticketing system. A ticketing system. Most companies use it. 99% of companies, and some people use Jira, and some use the combination of ServiceNow and Jira. ServiceNow is a ticketing tool where you can create tickets. So let's say I am a worker in a company. Let's say I work for Home Depot, and I want to have access. I want my laptop to be able to access a server in Washington, D.C. I'll create a ticket in ServiceNow. Service now, everybody has access to it. Most, at least some employees have access to it. That ticket, I will route it to the firewall team. The firewall team will see the ticket and work on it and close it. And I'll get an email, and the email will tell me that the firewall team has implemented my ticket. So what I will now do is that I will now try to connect to the server. If the server works, good. If I try to connect and it doesn't work, I will now email or ping the person that worked the ticket. You see their name on it. The name will be on it. Mr. Ola, you worked on my ticket, but I can't connect. Please listen to this thing. You will now go and check what? The firewall logs, the log, to see, okay, you put in the source IP, the destination IP address, and check. In the last 15 minutes that this boy said that he tried to connect, why is it not working? When you check and you don't see that there's anything there, nothing is hitting your firewall, you say, sir, this is not a firewall issue. I've checked. Go and check that your laptop or your server is able to receive packets. I have checked. The firewall is not even denying any traffic. I'm not seeing nothing, zero, no logs. Now, if you check and you see that my traffic is actually getting denied on a different firewall, what you now do is that, oh, you now say, oh, I've seen the problem. You now go and implement the rule in that firewall. The rule you implemented earlier, you now put it in that firewall. Because, you know, as I said, most companies have at least more than 10 firewalls. So sometimes you can implement in one firewall and don't implement in another firewall. You get what I'm saying? So there are multiple firewalls. So you implement in that firewall. Some companies, you have to wait and create a chain ticket to push to production. Some companies allow you to push to production depending on your company stance. Don't push anything to production without knowing your company stance. I've got in trouble for it. I'm giving you heads up. Don't push anything to production without knowing your company stance. Some companies you push at night. So if your company is the one where you push at night, some is at 9 p.m. at night, some is at 10 p.m. at night, you will tell the person, I see the problem, give 10 p.m. tonight, I will push your firewall. You get what I'm saying? So at 10 p.m., you just log into your laptop, push the firewall, and ping the person and say, hey, I have pushed your firewall, you can test. The person can come the next day and test. The person will not say, oh, thank you, it's working. Some companies, they have people that push the firewall for them. Please listen to this one. So it means that when you have implemented the firewall, you will now send a message to the people that push it. So most companies break it down. You get what I'm saying? They don't want overlapping responsibility. So some companies, they don't let the firewall admin push it. They let maybe a vendor. So sometimes we have Indian vendors, people from India. So sometimes when you call the company now and you are hearing a foreign accent, companies, they do that. So let's say you are calling problem support, and that support is like they're in the Philippines or they're in India or China, whatever it is. Companies do that too. They also outsource some of their stuff because it's cheaper. You get what I'm saying? They outsource some of their programs. They outsource it. Everybody's listening. So some companies, when you have finished your own firewall part, you will now send an email to the people and say, please push this firewall by 10 p.m. They will push it and let you know and say, okay, we have put the firewall low. You get what I'm saying? Please, this thing, learn it. For those that work in IT, know your company process. I have gotten it. See, that thing is the mercy of God that they did not fire me, because companies are very serious about it. Because if you push a firewall in a production time zone, it can affect them, and nobody wants to lose money. I hope you are hearing what I'm saying, please. So when you get into a company, by the grace of God, when they hire you, and I know they will hire you in Jesus' name, your job is to beat the gate man. That means do well on the interview and beat the gate man and learn on the job. That's the best way. If you spend 3 years learning firewall, you keep learning. How about if you spend the next 3 years learning firewalls or IT on the job and they are paying you good money? You get what I'm saying? So your job is to beat the gate man. I learned that from my mentor that taught me. Beat the gate man, pass the interview, enter, and you can learn on the job. But when you get on the job, follow the process. If you don't know it, ask. Hey, what do you guys do? How do you guys put the firewall? How do you guys, they'll let you know. So some companies, as I said, they outsource the process. Some companies even outsource the process of the firewall admin. So just know what your company does. So if your job is to put in the rule, put in the rule. If your job is to push the firewall, push it. There are sometimes that we have to push firewall ourselves too. We do that. Like sometimes we have emergency. Maybe some people are doing an upgrade. They will just ping you, especially if you're on call and say, hey, Victor, we need to get on the call. You just jump on the call with them. They will tell you that, hey, we are trying to push a update, and we realize that the firewall is blocking. Can you help us do it? What I'll tell them that, hey, call my boss. I do that. I do call my boss. If my boss approves, I'll do it. Amen. So I can say amen. Sorry, it's part of me. Don't mind me. I'm more of a Christian setting, so just forgive me. So that happens in that area. Let's see. That's what I was saying. Know the process. For those that have worked in companies, know the process, so you don't get in trouble. You don't want to lose a job that you just got. You don't want to. You don't want to lose a job you just got. So know the process and work with that process. Be a stickler for the process, so you don't get in trouble. I've got in trouble because of that, and trust me, it reflected on my evaluation, because in the end, every year, even mid-year, they will evaluate you. Your boss will evaluate you, and you don't want it to reflect on your evaluation, because in the end, mid-year evaluation is not even bad. But most companies, when you do firewalls, and they give bonuses, your level of if you don't have a good evaluation from your boss, it will determine it can really zero out your bonus. And trust me, bonus will help you, especially when you need that extra money, to pay one bill. I mean, pay this bill, pay that bill. I mean, I don't know about you, but we all need it. All right, so let's leave that alone. So know the process. I'm even what I'm giving is interview part. This part is not so, but this you're supposed to know what you're even doing. This interview part, just know the process. Know the process. Know the process of your job. Know what you are doing. So most times, network they send packets, routers, firewall, packet. Then transport layer is segments. And between session layer and application layer is data. You're dealing with data, website data, server data. You are dealing with data. As I mentioned, everyone, please, if possible, show your face. So show your face. Show your face. I used to go for, you know, I'm saying this, please forgive me. I know it's inconvenient. I used to join, there's this pastor that does a training in Canada. And Canada, where they are 2 hours behind us. So, and they do it at Tuesday night. So after I teach a program on Tuesday evening, and it's once a month, although I missed last month, I kind of forgot. You join, and that program, it goes on for almost 6 hours, and you must share your you must show your face. So that when I want to eat, I'll just do my this like this way. I have to eat. I can't beat it. So you don't see my head, you don't see the hair, you don't see top of my head like this, but I'm all, I mean, so please show your face. It shows seriousness. I learned that from that man. So anytime people join the call, if possible, so if you're at work, I understand, but show your face. It shows that you are listening. All right. Session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. Please learn it. And I will go back. Port numbers, this top 10, know it. FTP is port 21. But when you are implementing this in the firewall, FTP is not safe. Don't implement port 21. Most companies now do something called SFTP. It's the same thing. It's just safer. S is just SFTP. I think it's port 23. Is it port 20 or so? SFTP. So when someone comes and says, I need port 21, the job is to email them back and say, are you sure you need this port? Port 21 nowadays, before we used to do port 21, but nowadays they start realizing that port 21 is not safe. And one thing I say about IT that is always changing. IT is always changing, is always changing. So you have to move with the times. Is one thing I will say. It's like your iPhone. Your iPhone is not the same iPhone you bought. They're always making updates. For those that use iPhone, they're always making updates to the iPhone. That means that you keep getting this update this. For those that use MacBook, same thing. They're always forwarding to everyone. They're forwarding updates. You have to update it. Same thing with IT. There's always updates. So it's not always going to be the same. Companies always change, and be learning from those amount of changes that will happen. One of the things that will happen, I'm just giving you, I know that many of you will get this IT job in Jesus' name. They may add on to your plate. So you can come in and say that I'm a firewall person, and they can say, you know what, from now on, start working on Zscaler. And you know nothing about Zscaler. You just tell them thank you. And your job is to now go back home and start watching videos on Zscaler. From now on, we want to start working on CrowdStrike. Start supporting our tool on CrowdStrike. And you know nothing about CrowdStrike. What the heck are you talking about? But your job is to go back and say, you know what? If you are not amenable, they can throw you out of the door. I'm just giving the heads up. So with IT, you have to be dynamic. You have to be able to be changed. Sometimes they can tell you that with firewalls, we want to start doing micro segmentation in Zscaler. You say thank you, okay, okay. You just go back home and just do your research on it. You're already on the job. That's the thing. So anything they ask you to do, you are see the you rather learn for free or learn with money. You can even tell them to send you for training. And most cases they will refer you to one of their websites because most companies do that. They have websites where they have like Udemy, where they have a bunch of they say go and watch videos there. We rather them pay you a good amount of money and you are getting trained than for you to be training for free or training with your own pocket money. So just be dynamic. Be dynamic. So if they say learn this, don't say okay, thank you. Be learning it. As you know it, you know it. As long as you are inside, you are built the gate man, you are inside. That's all that matters. So FTP is port 21. As I said, most people don't use FTP anymore. They use something called SFTP. It's not the safety part of it. Secure FTP. SSH. But these ones, you will always see them. I've seen this, at least this week, I've seen port 80, port 443 in my implementation. I've worked with DNS, or at least I talked to DNS admin. SMTP, you always see that one. These ones are the most common ones. And sometimes they will ask it. But as I said, in the last 5 years, at least when I started doing IT interviews in the beginning, they used to ask this, but they've not asked me this in a long time. Because I mean, it's important for you to know this. So FTP, SSH, Telnet, know the numbers. It's like times table. Don't memorize it. Telnet is port 23, SMTP port 25, DNS is port. After a while, it will just become part of you. So when you see a firewall ticket, you just know you see SMTP, oh, port 25, DNS, oh, port 53, HTTP, HTTPS, that one you will see normal, like water. Port 80, port 443. You see that one, port 80, port 443, port 80, port 443. You see TFTP or TFPT. I've not seen that one as much, or POP 3. But FTP or SFTP, SSH, that one a lot because many of you will be working with developers. So developers are trying to develop things because most of your companies will have applications. So these developers need to be able to SSH into things, be able to portal into some things. So they will need that. So SSH, Telnet, please know it. Memorize it. Memorize it. Take this and just memorize it. Just memorize it. Just know it. Especially HTTP, HTTPS, SFTP, FTP, SSH, Telnet, SMTP. Those ones know it. That should be like water. It's like if somebody wakes up and asks you what is FTP, you should know it. What is HTTP? You should know it. And I showed you last week that on a website, if you go on www.bankofamerica.com, just go on your banking website. If you check, there's a lock tab. That lock tab shows that it is secure. So that's a HTTPS traffic. Why is it locked? Because you are putting your personal details. It is a personal thing. They have to protect your account. So HTTP sometimes port 80, you see that if you are trying to log into a firewall, when you get into your job, they will give you access to the firewall and it's an IP address. You just go on a URL, you click on the URL and you're into the firewall. So most times the HTTP traffic is not safe. But it's safe because it's behind some other tools, so you are fine. So most time when your internal tools will be HTTP, it's hard to find a public facing website that is HTTP. It's hard because it's not safe. HTTPS is the safe part of website. So know that, please. Know this once. I've mentioned it again, please. A word is enough for the wise. So know this, memorize it. Just know port 21 FTP, SSH port 22. And the thing is that even if you are doing other things, I'm looking at AWS. I've been doing some classes on AWS. As I said, it's good to train yourself. Don't and AWS will give you IP addresses. I work with AWS WAF, their web application. They deal with rules, they deal with IPs. You can't escape all these things. So it's best to know it. You might not be dealing with these port numbers in WAF, but you'll be dealing with it. Sure, you'll be doing some it in WAF anyways, but you'll be dealing with IP addressing, which we'll be going into very soon. So know all this and know peace. Physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. I told you guys last week to watch videos on the OSI model. There are 2-3 minute videos on YouTube. Watch it so you can understand it. Watch multiple videos. People have different styles of teaching. Watch it. It helps you to understand the OSI model and what it does. Watch it. Watch port numbers. There are even these most port numbers on YouTube. Thank God we're in a place where there's a lot of information. You don't have to go to the library to read. When I was in Nigeria, you go to the library, you open book and read. You read different books. If you want to do research, go on Google. At least internet was coming up plenty small. But now you have as much time to do that. And in action, OSI in action, you can see that if you type in cisco.com now in the application layer, I told you that most companies have their website behind a WAF. The application layer puts it down and it formats the data. It shows, you look at the encryption, it creates a separate session, and all the way it shows a reliable path. Then of course it assigns the IP address. Then literally, basically, from when you put in www.cisco.com or www.apple.com, www.walmart.com, www.amazon.com, everything shows how it goes from the application layer to the physical layer. So from the back end to the front end. So basically from the servers for maybe cisco.com or I don't know, homedepot.com, all the way to your phone or your laptop. You get what I'm saying? So just look at, even when you watch videos on the OSI model, sit in action. Like, how can I type a website? Because gotten asked that question before. If I tell you that I've gotten asked this question in an interview before, just note it. They can ask you, when you type in google.com, what happens in the back end? Let me just give you a summary of it. What happens? If I type in google.com on my laptop, so my laptop will go from my public IP. Go and you can check. There are many answers to it online. It will go and transcribe my private IP address to a public IP address. Go out and look and go to the Google server close to me. My Google server will not be somewhere in Africa. I'm not in Africa. It will go to a server that is close to me. Google is in California. Am I right? I mean, I live in Georgia. You can't take it can't go all the way to Georgia. If it goes, there'll be latency. Companies don't want you to have latency, because when there's latency, you can ignore. You get what I'm saying? What is latency? It is the time period between when you ask for something and when it comes, between when you put in a request on your browser and when it comes. If it's taking 3 minutes for a website to load, you can close the website. You're like, what's wrong? Is the internet wrong? What's going on? So most companies, they try to reduce latency. They reduce latency. So they have data centers around the world, different data centers that can accommodate all this traffic. So if I'm in the Philippines and I type in google.com, it will not be the same as me typing in google.com in Atlanta. If you go to another country, type in google.com, you see that it comes with a different code. I mean, you see what I'm talking about. Or you do yahoo.com. It can show you, okay, when I was in Spain or Germany, or I don't know, if you type in yahoo.com, it's going to bring up a different language. I know you've seen it before. Where you go to France or you go somewhere and you type in it, because you are connected to the server that serves that country. So when you do that, they use VPN. So they use the VPN. The VPN routes to their homeland. So those that want to use their bank, maybe they're in Nigeria, they want to do some things on their bank, they use the VPN. They put the VPN on their phone or their laptop and route the VPN to New York or Atlanta, somewhere that it recognizes that, okay, it's, home base. You get what I'm saying? So see this in action. So when you type in the website, it goes and routes from your private IP address, to a public IP address that goes to the closest server of that company, the closest data center, and fetches that image and brings the image back to your laptop. In most cases, if you go on google.com, it will even store the image on your browser. Let's say you check your email every day. It's not going to be going and be fetching it all the time. Go fetch. It's like, maybe you ask your child, go and get me water. One day your child will carry a crate of water and put inside the room. That's the water day, sir. I mean, most African parents will know that. You get what I'm saying? So when you go on a google.com, that one, when you do that, it goes and fetches the image and brings it back to your laptop. So if you go a lot on it, you should just keep the image on your laptop. So when you go google.com, it just pops because it knows that you are going to go on it. Now, sometimes if you go on a website you've never gone on before, let's say www.victortegobo.com, so you see that sometimes it might take some time to load. Why? Because you have not gone on the website before. Just type a random website, not the adult content website, though. Just a random website. Type it. It will take some time to load because in the back end, your browser, you are going to fetch that image, and sometimes it might take a little bit of latency, maybe 30 seconds. But if it's a website you go on a lot, maybe ESPN.com, sports, whatever it is, FIFA, it will fetch it immediately because, or you watch, for those that watch news, This Day, Punch, CBS, CNN, it will fetch it immediately because you go on those websites a lot. So please know how it works. That one, I've got to ask like this twice. If I go on google.com, let me know what happens in the back end. If you go online and check, there's a summary, you see a paragraph summary of how it works. But basically, your browser transcodes from your private IP address to a public IP address, and you fetch the image from the closest server and bring the image back to you. That's it. Now, there are more details to it, so those do your research on it, because I've gotten asked that in interview before, especially if you're doing a network engineering interview. So if I type in cisco.com, what happens in the back end? I mean, they want you to know what happens in the back end. What happens? What happens before you get the image on your Google Chrome or I don't know, whatever browser you use, Safari? Get what I'm saying? All right, so please note that one just in case. Although I'm not going to ask that in a minute, but if I do network interview, they may ask you that. They may, and also if I do network interview, you know there's a difference between network engineer or network administrator and network security. So if you're doing the mostly network, they're going to ask you a lot of these networking concepts. They're going to ask you a lot about routers, switches. Then there are some languages that they ask. As I said, this class is not a class. When I took the class too, they just trained us for the interview. So I'm training for you. I'm not going to be training you to be, I'm literally just training for the interview. Know enough to pass the interview. I'm gonna be learning on your own. I'm sorry. That's why the class is short. If it's a real class that you took 3 or 4 years to learn it, so the way they taught us, train for the interview, pass the interview, can be learning, and we don't help you. Of course, we are here to help you. Of course, we are here to support you. If you have any questions, just ping us. We help you. We give you information. If you have problem on the job. All right, so we have that there. So, any questions before we continue? Any questions? Any comments? Any questions? Sorry, I'm not checking the chat, but let me check if there's anything in the chat. Any comment? Any contributions? Okay, all right, all right, all right. So let's continue with our discussion. So we are looking at the OSI model. We are looking at IP addressing. Now we're going to look at IP addressing coming up. IP addressing. So okay. And of course, there's something called TCP IP model too. So we have the OSI model, which is the orange one that you see here: physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, application layer. People use different ways to some people use like for those that grew up in Africa or Nigeria, it's something called BOD mass. BOD mass is bracket of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. You get a BOD mass. I think in America it's PEMDAS, parentheses, something. I know we've done both systems. So people have something that they use to memorize the OSI model, or people use something pizza. They told me before, I don't remember anymore. And there's something called the TCP IP model, which is the application layer, the transport layer, internet layer, the network access layer. So we have those kind of layers. And now in the application layer, that's where we have where's my thing not working? In the application layer, that's where we have the telnet, FTP. Okay, what is FTP? What port number is FTP again? Let me ask you, what's FTP? Quickly post in the chat. What's FTP? What's Telnet? Ola, Mr. Ola, Dami, Ola Emi, what's FTP? What's Telnet? I mentioned it not too long ago. You should know the port number now. What's DNS? Quickly, quickly, quickly. Someone post in the chat. What is Telnet? Let's start with that. What is Telnet? What port number is Telnet? Mr. Shola, or Shola, what port number is Telnet? You should know it. You should know it. I don't show the slide. What port number is Telnet? So people are Googling it, don't Google it. What port number is FTP? Or, I said no, it's not using FTP. What port number is Telnet is what? Port 23. I'm not saying anything in the chat, though. Thank you, Olayemi. Port 23. FTP is what? Easy, easy. This one, you know it. Port 20 what? It's port 21. SMTP is what? Port 25. DNS is what? Port 53. We don't leave it as that. God will help us in Jesus' name. Amen. So please learn these things. I'm telling you, it will be like, see, like it's like learning a new language. When you learn a new language, like when I was taking Spanish in high school, I took a bit of Spanish in college. So I kind of understand when people speak Spanish. It's like I can't speak the way they speak very fast. Da, 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 da. I don't know how to speak that one. I don't. But if you are speaking, I can get a bit of what you are saying. I can get lo siento, I can get some things, bits and pieces there. Bits and pieces, excuse me, there. What am I trying to say? That just learn these things, learn it, know it, memorize it. This one is like times table, as I said. Know it. By the time you start working with firewall, you will just it will become common. When you see FTP, SMTP, you will know that this is the port number. Let it become. Now there's something called TCP and UDP. TCP and UDP. You have to know these ones. So watch videos on it too. On TCP and UDP, watch it. That's an assignment. Please put that TCP and UDP. TCP, it's a process. So when you get your firewall ticket, in most cases, they will give you the source IP, destination IP, and they will give you the port number Any ticket that does not have a port number, you send it back to them and say, you didn't give me a port number. Because there's no company that wants you to open all access for source and destination. Let me give the previous example. In the former example I gave, I said that when you give the source IP address and the destination IP address, I told that, and you are looking for, on the firewall logs. The firewall logs, you can also put in the port number that they give you. Port 53, DNS, port 25, SMTP, or HTTP, port 80, HTTPS, port 443. You get what I'm saying? So they will give you that and you use that. So most companies don't want you to open, as I give the earlier example, that if I ask, let's say I'm a worker in the company and I ask my team or the firewall team to open a port for me, between me and a server that I need, I'm going to give you the port number I need. In most cases, people will give you SMTP to transfer files, or they give you FTP or SFTP, whatever it is. They will give you a port number. They will give you a port number. Now, they will list TCP or UDP. It is there. So after they give you the port number, they will give you something called TCP. Or TCP is translation control. Let me just check it, please. It's been a minute, and even myself, I'm learning. TCP and UDP. TCP. Hold on, let's the verses. Give me 1 second, though. Me myself, it's been a minute, but I can explain to you. But I want to just give you the details. So TCP is transmission control protocol. It is reliable. So in TCP, it will vet it. So when you use TCP, it will check. It is a bit slower because it checks for error. It is checking. It is like checking that, do you actually need this? Is this packet that is flowing? Do we need this packet? And in most cases, use it for web browsing, HTTP, HTTPS. It will evaluate the traffic. It will look for the accuracy. So people use TCP for that. UDP, it is not reliable. It is faster. TCP will vet. UDP doesn't vet anything. TCP will check, it will second guess, it will check. You are not seeing the front end, but the back end, TCP is checking. Okay, do we need this? Is there any errors here? Is there any correction that we need to correct for the packets to flow? Do we need to retransmit the packets? Are there any lost packets? TCP will check. UDP won't check. UDP, there's no guarantee that the data will arrive. But with TCP, the data will arrive. It must arrive. You get what I'm saying? So TCP, it will check. That is the transmission control protocol. We check. UDP, it is user datagram protocol. User datagram protocol. It is faster. People use for Zoom, voice, video. They use UDP because they don't want any lag. So if you see something like maybe Netflix, on the back end, if you are watching a video on Netflix or YouTube, you don't want any lag, so you use UDP. But other things like websites, banking websites, they use TCP because they want everything to be verified. But with UDP, it's connectionless. There's no handshake involved. You get what I'm saying? It's unreliable. It is faster than TCP. They asked me that question in the interview before. For those that are doing networking, they ask me what's TCP, what is UDP. You don't have to define it for them, but just give the difference. TCP is it checks for, it's reliable. UDP is unreliable. If you just give those one, that's good. And during the interview, you don't have to give too much details. You don't have to give your whole history. Introduce yourself. My name is Ola. I'm from Ondo State, Nigeria. I was born in 1984. I mean, come on now. We don't need all that from you. Just give us the details. My name is Ola. I've been working in IT for the past 3 years, and I have some level of comfort and have reliability in working network administrator. I've also worked in the area of firewalls. I've embedded firewalls. I've troubleshoot firewall rules, check for drops in traffic. I've also worked in firewall audits to make sure that we are auditing our firewalls, working with the PCI team as well. I don't give you this. I don't meet up in my head now. So you don't just start giving all these big details. I was born in 1982. I went to University of Calabar. We don't need all that thing from you. We can see it on your resume. Your resume has some details already. We're just asking you to introduce us in respect to the job you want to do. So when you're introducing yourself, I know I'm talking like this. Maybe somebody wants to apply for a job very soon. When you're introducing yourself in IT, you introduce yourself in respect to the job details. So let's say I'm interviewing for a firewall role. I'm going to come in the aspect of introducing myself that I can do that work. So my name is Victor. I've worked in IT for the past 8 years, and I've done everything from IPsec VPN tunneling to troubleshooting IP addresses. I also work with the web application firewall, which includes Akamai. Also working with AWS WAF. I'm very reliant. I can work in silo. I also work as a team, and I can come in to help you in your network administrative role. I've also worked in area of firewall patching. Thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Going to the next question. You get what I'm saying? So why am I even talking like this? We are seeing the early part. I'm talking interview already. It is well. All right. So TCP is transmission control protocol. UDP is user datagram protocol. TCP is reliable. UDP is not reliable. If they ask you that what's the difference, if that you do what you give, one is reliable, the other one is unreliable. You have done well. You have passed the answer. TCP is reliable. UDP is not reliable. You don't have to say, oh, TCP is transmission control protocol. They know. If you want to say it, sure. UDP is user data data protocol. They know. TCP is reliable. UDP is not reliable. TCP checks for error. UDP doesn't check. That's another one. TCP is slower. UDP is faster. That's another one. TCP is used for web browsing. HTTP, HTTPS. UDP is used for Zoom, voice over IP, Netflix. That's another answer. So I've given you 3. Go watch videos on it. So it's like sending a letter. So for TCP, when you do TCP, TCP comes back with the letter has been received. UDP, we don't know if the letter has been received or not. There's no way for Zoom to know that if there are 10 people on the call or 100 people on the call. They don't know. Their job is to create a platform for you to join. You get what I'm saying? So TCP is like sending a mail. You go to United States Postal Service, you send a mail, and they now ask you that, do you want them to sign? You get what I'm saying? You will say yes, sign. If you say no, don't sign. You get the point. So TCP is like, oh, I sent a letter and the person has confirmed that they received it. That is TCP. UDP is like shouting across the room, bow, hey, how are you? And you don't hear any response. So TCP is reliable. UDP is unreliable. That's the main part. TCP checks for error. UDP doesn't check for errors. In their use cases, TCP is slower. UDP is faster. Because if you're checking for error, it will be a bit slower. TCP is used for cases like HTTP, HTTPS. Don't think you're banking. UDP is used for video, voice over IP address, videos, streaming. I mean, if I'm streaming something, I don't want it to be a lag, so I'm going to use UDP. And it happens. Sometimes they can tell you that the CEO wants to present. We have had that many times. The CEO is presenting our new website, or the CEO wants to present something to a group of people. Make sure that everything is good. So you will go and make sure that nothing, there's no lag. You don't want any problem. So you use UDP. UDP. No lag, nothing. Just go. Just no. So TCP and UDP, know that. That one, you must know it. Because even when you get firewall tickets, some people will put UDP. Some people put TCP and UDP. They will say, do it for TCP, do it for UDP. You want both of them. So when you get your ticket, make sure you check that. Maybe one of these, I'll give an example of a firewall ticket. It's just that I can't really show you my work laptop. I don't want to get in trouble. But when you get the ServiceNow ticket, it will show you the source and destination. There's no how you don't have source and destination IP address. And if you look at the firewall, it's like that. The firewall, when you log into your firewall, you see source IP, destination IP, port number, allow, deny. That's it. So when you go in, if I submit my ticket, I'll put in the source IP where they put source IP. I'll put the destination IP where they put destination IP. I'll put the port number as you give it to me in the port number place, and I'll put allow. Save. If my company allows us to push the firewall, we push it. If they don't allow us to push the firewall in the time window during the work day, I'll push it at night. If they don't allow me to push it at night and we have somebody else that does it, I email them, hey, this ticket, push it at this time. They will send email, we have pushed it. And most times it's offshore people in India, Philippines, depending on your company, they will outsource it to them, they will push it, they will let you know we've pushed it. The person will close the ticket, the email gets back to the person that requested it, the person will now check that it is done. That's your job. Literally, that's it. If you can do it, trust me, you'll be making more than most people. Literally, that's what you're doing. That's firewall administration right there. You're not administrating. All right. Next, so know TCP and UDP. Know that one. To know it is to know peace. Know that one. So I've told you OSI model. Know IP, the TCP IP model. Know what TCP versus UDP. Know what it's about. And of course, note some of these port numbers. All right, let's keep it moving to the next one. So, as I said, TCP is connectionless. Layer 3, just give me some examples. Has no built-in data recovery, uses hierarchical addressing. All this one, those if you learn what I've said so far, TCP is dependable, UDP is not dependable. TCP is connectionless, UDP is not. Wait. I thought TCP. Okay, TCP is connectionless. Yes, TCP is connectionless. Hmm. I thought TCP was connection oriented. Sure, you get the point that TCP is reliable. You just get those all these ones is grammar. TCP reliable, UDP unreliable. TCP checks for error, UDP doesn't check for error. You get what I'm saying? Uh-huh. TCP slower, UDP faster. TCP, HTTP, HTTPS, websites, UDP, video, YouTube, Netflix, live streaming, UDP. There's no lag. That's it. I'm going to keep it like that. Now we're looking at IP addressing. IP addressing. I'll just touch a bit on it and maybe next week we'll now focus on IP addressing. In IT, you need to know IP address. As I told you, I'm taking some classes in AWS. AWS, you know AWS, Amazon Web Services. I'm taking some classes in it. And you have to know, see, there's no place where you don't need IP address. Web application firewall, uh, Zscaler, CrowdStrike. This is the foundation. IP address. What is IP address? It is a unique numerical address used to identify your device on the computer network. If you work in a place where you have an ID, I don't know about you, but in most workplaces, you need to swap your card to enter. Why? You don't want someone to come and shoot people. We want to know. And of course, you know that this will people that they do employment. Why is this giving my mind? People that employ and hire people. HR, they track it too. HR can track, okay, this person swiped their card 10 times this week. You get what I'm saying? So it is your unique ID. You need the ID to log. If you're used to use laptop, to log into your laptop, you need your ID to do some things. They give an ID to identify yourself. For those that even clock in, you don't clock in. Some people clock in their face with thumb. When I was in high school, when I was in college, when I used to work in the dorms, you clock in with your thumbprint, your thumb. I don't know how they do nowadays. But when we clock in, I work at the desk. I used to work in the housing, UGA housing. You know, you just clock in with your thumb and enter. So people now they use other things, use their face. You know, growing up, my parents they used exercise book. Somebody came in at 8 a.m. And you see somebody on that who put 6 a.m. So I don't understand. If somebody came in at 8 a.m. and somebody puts kai. At least I remember that one because I go to my daddy's office a lot. I go to my daddy's office a lot. So you have exercise book. You write. So of course, some line now. Somebody puts 7 a.m. and you down the list, someone puts 5 a.m. Come on now. But there's no way. So America became smart. America said we can't depend on your own word. Let us get your thumbprint. Swipe your card. It shows the timeline when it will just automatically register on the computer. You came in at this time. So IP address shows is a unique. See, you are connecting to me. You are connecting to me using an IP address. So what happens is that your router at home gives your laptop, if you are coming from your phone, your cell phone, or iPad, a unique IP address, which is a private IP address. Your private IP address routes to a public IP address. So each of your router, your modem, or your internet service provider, Comcast, AT&T, whatever it is, T-Mobile, they provide you with a unique public IP address. So that public IP address is what you are using to connect with me now. For those that are on Zoom, you're looking at me physically. You are connecting with me using that. So your IP address is a unique numerical address used on your device. Every company has it. So in most cases, you have a private IP address. You don't have 10 public IP address. We don't have that many. So we have IPv4. IPv4 is 4 octets. 4. IP version 4. So most IP addresses have 4 octets. 4. Look at see the IP address here now. Is 192.168.1.20. That's 4 octets. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that 4 octets, you break them into bits. Ah, we'll look at that later. So in each octet, there are different bits. B-I-T-S. Bit. B-I-T-S. So for each version, you have IPv4. There are 4 octets. 4 octets. And the subnet mask dictates the portion of the IP address and identifies the network for it. So it's something called the subnet mask. If you go on your, for those that use regular laptop, HP, Microsoft, just type in CMD. CMD, type in CMD, that's your command. Then on your CMD, type in ipconfig. You will see your details. That's your private IP address, your subnet mask. You see it. Just go on your laptop now, type in CMD. That's your command prompt will come out. And just type in ipconfig. I think it's still the same thing. Let me put it in the chat. I let me ipconfig. So type CMD or go on your command prompt and type in ipconfig. So CMD in your search bar, then ipconfig. It shows you everything. If you have a problem, look at it, just let me know. Just do it right now. If you are connecting from your laptop, from your phone, I don't know you can do that one. You can now, of course, there are websites that can track. I can give you a website. If I send you that website can track your IP address. Now, most companies nowadays, because they are being very vigilant, they use tools to track things. So now, if I'm using my work laptop, we have tools that can track my private IP address. So God forbid, if I decide to hack my company, they can track to the very limit what you do. So when you use a work phone, a work laptop, be careful what you do on it. It can be tracked. We can literally see to the detail. So prove that go for you. How people that are not addicted to porn or they can track anything you do on your work, anything work related. Your work email is tracked. I hate my boss. They can see it. So sometimes when my coworker wants to discuss, he will call me. He will he won't chat with me because everybody has their chat. They chat on Zoom, they have WebEx, they have Microsoft Teams. Everybody they have that. Most sensitive details are not going to be put there. It can be seen. CrowdStrike can see it. Zscaler can see it. An administration can see anything you type. So if you want to describe something sensitive, they will just call their cell phone. They will just call the person. I've seen, I mean, if I want to discuss something sensitive with you and I know you want to be, I will call your cell phone. I will not even text you. I won't text you because even if you, God forbid, you will say I said something, it's my word versus your word. How do you know I said it? You don't know if I said it or not. So people don't want to you want to be tracking email, tracking all those things. You don't want any problem. So what am I trying to say? They track it. They can track anything you do from if you go on a Yahoo website to I don't know watch sports, you're watching YouTube when you should be working. That's why people use their cell phones. If you connect your cell phone to the Wi-Fi of your company, they can still track it. So just use your own regular internet like that if you don't want them to track. So anything under a network can be tracked. Anything under even your regular this thing can be tracked. FBI can track it. Even police can track some things. They can track your online activity. Depending on depending on what phone you use and other things, other details as allowed. So your IP address is a unique numerical address. It's like having a work ID. For those that work in a company, is a work ID. You need to log into your, I don't know, your internally log into your maybe your health benefits, log into some other things that you do for the work that you do, from the applications that you use. Same thing with your IP address. It gives you unique identity online. You can't log in without an IP address. You can't use the internet with an IP address. It cannot work. And anytime you use an IP address, even all the websites you log into, and they're an IP address, Google is an IP address. So you'll not be typing 152.25.80.2 on your browser. You just type in google.com. It's DNS that will translate to IP address. You know what I'm saying? So you can't type in 50.30.40.50 Amazon.com. I'm just guessing the number, You can't type that one in. Nobody's going, my it's 50.30.40. No, nobody cares about that. Give me Amazon.com. Amazon.com translate to IP address. They understand the backend. To translate to IP address on the backend. But in the front end, you're just putting that. That's where DNS comes in, domain name service. What is DNS, please? Since we have been talking, what is DNS again? What port number is DNS? I mentioned it before. What is DNS? What port number is DNS? Put in the chat, please. What port number is DNS? You should know that one by now. Port 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. No. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Port 53. Port 53 is DNS. This thing you just see. Let's go back. I don't want to go back too much. DNS is what? Port 53, 53. This thing does know it. It's like, as I said, it's like the times table for those that grew up back home. 2 times 1, 2, 2 times 2, 4, 2 times. You know it now. This one, know it like know it like that. Or for those that did chemistry, the periodic table. If you have to memorize all those protons, neutrons, electrons, whatever it is, know this one like that. All right. Okay, let's keep it moving. IP address. Now there's something called IPv6 because we have only a limited amount of IPv4 addresses, and the world is thinking that we will run out of it. So there's something called IPv6. IPv6 is the newer version of the IP addresses. Some people use it, but most people still use this IPv4. It's still being used. Now look at the details here. You have the IP address, which is the unique identifier. You have the subnet mask, dictates which portion of the IP address identified with the network. So let's say now my IP address for my house is let me give you this example that you see on the slide. 192.168.1.0/24. That is a subnet mask. /24. I'm just giving an example now. So for my own laptop I'm using now, it can assign to me 192.168.1.20, which is what you see on the screen. Are you seeing that? For maybe my wife's laptop, it can assign 192.168.1.40. You can see that here on the screen. For my phone, it can assign 192.168.1.15. The main thing is that the IP address has given me one whole CIDR block, which is 192.168.1.00. That is mine. Now, these other IP addresses is based on that 192.168.1. You can see that the only thing that is changing is the last octet. You see the orange part. Everybody knows what I'm saying. The last octet is changing. So my own IP address for my laptop is .20. The one for my wife is .40. The one for my cell phone can be .15. The one for my TV can be .18. You get what I'm saying? So the subnet mask determines what changes. Hope that makes sense. Please, hope you are getting me. Don't worry. Another assignment. Thank you, Mr. Shola. You stayed for 53. Another assignment is to go watch IP address on YouTube. There are 3. See, don't watch 1 hour video. Watch 10 minutes video, 5 minutes video on IP addressing. IPv4, IP addressing, subnet mask. Watch it. It will explain it better to you. You need to understand this to know network engineering and network security. That you have an IP address, which is your unique identifier for your laptop, for your computer on the network. You have something called a subnet mask. The who assigned it is your router will assign it. Your internet service provider will assign it. Mostly your router will assign it. Because most of them will be a private IP address. Your home, you have one public IP address. But everybody has a private IP address. So even when the internet service provider sends your internet into your house, it routes it from your public IP address to your private IP address. When you are routing from your laptop to if I'm going on CNN.com or FoxNews.com, PunchNews.com, Vanguard.com, I'll type it. It will route it from my private IP address on my laptop to the public IP address that will be assigned to my router. So it is your laptop that will assign it. Now you can manually assign things. That will be network details, but in most cases, it's automatically assigned. You don't have to worry about that. Just understand what it does. Understand it. IP addressing, subnet mask. It will help a lot. Because somebody can give and say, okay, I want to do, of course, there's subnet mask and IP address calculator. May I use that one? It's like, growing up, our parents had to add things in their head a lot. Even as some people are very good at math, because when they were growing up, they had to calculate things in their head. Why some other people had to use calculator? You get what I'm saying? So people that know how to calculate in their head, their brain is, so forgive me, is even sharper than people that don't use calculator. Because when you were growing up and you have to calculate things in your head, you know how to calculate things. And there are different ways of doing it. Everybody has a way of calculating things. I can calculate things, I can multiply things, I can divide things in my head and give the answer. My wife can say, what is 50 plus 80? Now I can say 80 plus 50 is 130. Now 8 plus 5 is 13. So if I know 8 plus 5 is 13, I just add another 0, 130. You get what I'm saying? 8 plus 5 is 13. Am I right? So if I add 0 is 130. That's my own way. You can do 80 plus 50 We have a way of doing it in our head to get the result. So same thing with IP addressing. There are websites, I can even give you one that can help you get you the subnet mask, get you everything. But if you just understand the concept, you will need it, definitely. Someone can come and say, I need this CIDR block 192.168.1.0/24. And you need to know what is in the CIDR block. So let's say the person gives you a CIDR block of 192. Let me put in the chat. I wish I had the, you know, you need to have them blackboard or where is it? 192.168.1.20/24. If they don't give you that, you know, then and I said, okay, I'm troubleshooting. And when I was troubleshooting, I did 192.168.1.20, which is my own now. That's my laptop. And I can't connect. You know that 192.168.1.20 is, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. This is why I made a mistake. Let me edit this. The first part is .0/24. I just did that. See that the first one is 192.168.1.0/24. That is CIDR. 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 We learn about it. CIDR. CIDR. So you have a CIDR block. A CIDR block. CIDR. And most CIDR blocks are /1. You see /1, /2, /3, /4, all the way to like /24, which is what I just mentioned, and /24 is that .0. Don't worry, it will make sense to me. When I was doing that, like, this doesn't make any sense. Don't worry, it will make sense. Don't worry. If you are not understanding, it's okay. You are stretching your brain. It's fine. It's fine. So we have /24. So /24 is my own. So if I put in my source IP, let's say I send you a request now as a firewall admin. I need source as this source 192. This is my source IP. I'll just put in the chat. Control V. Copy. Then my destination IP address is let's say 52.35.40.50. What is I'll say SMTP. All right, so this is what you get as your firewall request. The source is that. So some people can give a CIDR block. Now, if I want to be more detailed, I can say, okay, the source is 192.168.1.20. You know, I give as an example, that's my home laptop. As you see on the screen, that's my home laptop. But sometimes I can give it, if I'm the request, I can give that a CIDR block. So it means that if I want my wife to connect, if I want my phone to connect, I will just give that a CIDR block. I'm not going to give the source as that, because if I give that source, that will really be my laptop. You get what I'm saying? It will only be my laptop IP address. I'm giving the CIDR block. So so what you do when you get on the firewall, you will put in this detail. 192.168.1.0/24. You put that detail in. You put in destination IP address. It's very easy. If you understand one firewall, you can understand any other firewall. Palo Alto firewall, Checkpoint firewall. I'm just giving different firewalls. It's like if you can understand a Android phone, you should be able to understand an iPhone. It's not magic. You know what I'm saying? They do the same thing, just different application. Same thing. Same thing with firewalls. There are different kinds of firewalls. There's FortiGate firewalls, Fortinet firewalls. There's Checkpoint firewalls. There's Palo Alto firewalls. There's Cisco ASA firewalls. There's Juniper firewalls. They all do the same thing. Source, destination, port number. They do the same thing. You are doing the same thing. Now, to access it might be different in terms of the platform. But if you understand one, you understand all. You get what I'm saying? If you understand one, you understand all. It might be a bit different in terms of, copy and paste. Like if you use MacBook and use a regular, they have different things, but it's still the same thing. It's laptop. Laptop is laptop. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with all these firewall tools. So if I give you source, destination, and port number, what is SMTP? What is SMTP? What port number is SMTP? What port number is SMTP? You should know that one by now. I've asked it before. What port number is SMTP? Simple mail transfer protocol. So you are transferring mail. What port number is SMTP? Put in the chat, please. What port number is SMTP? It should be fast now. That should be port 20. I've already given. Thank you, Dami. Port 25. 25. Port 25. So normally people put port 25. I don't put SMTP so I can test you. So they'll put port number. So what you do, you go on the firewall, a Fortinet firewall, Checkpoint firewall, Palo Alto firewall, and they have the same thing. You look for where the firewall applies. So in most cases, I will look for where this applies on my firewall. So now, most companies, when you work in their company, there are two ways they will give it to you. They can give you a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet. The Excel spreadsheet will have all the IP addresses, all of it. So the Excel spreadsheet will tell you where each firewall is. So now, let's say my company uses Excel spreadsheet. I will just go and carry this source 192.168.1.0. I'll go on the Express spreadsheet. I'll do Control F. That's to find where it is. I'm not going to be looking one by one on it. Control F. I'll put in that IP address. It will now show me, okay, this IP address is on this firewall. Let's call the firewall Victor's firewall. So port 192.168.1.0 is on Victor's firewall. It will show you. So you will now carry this information and log into what firewall? Victor's firewall, and put in the source IP, destination IP address, and what? SMTP or port 25. Click allow, accept. Some say deny, some say allow, some say accept, depending on the firewall. Allow, save it. Of course, now you put the details. Some company will depending on the company, some will make you put the name or the ServiceNow ticket number just for identity. Because when a auditor comes, auditor can ask who did this. You want to know who did it. So sometimes some companies will require that you put in either your own identity, your name. Every company is different. It's just that one is not important. The more important thing is the source and destination IP address and the port number. You have done that one. So some companies they will have a box in the same room where you can put your name, the date you put it, like let's say today's date, the 6th of September, you will have it there. And the ticket number, you have it. You can't come to me directly and ping me and say, Victor, put it on the firewall. I will not do it. I need a ticket. Why? So it can be tracked. So if somebody comes and say, Dammy, I need to implement it on the firewall. Don't go and implement it, so you don't get in trouble. The first thing you ask them is that, give me a ticket number. You get what I'm saying? Someone can pick you directly and say, please implement it on the firewall. Don't just implement something without getting clearance, either from your boss or you get a ticket number. Everybody has their internal ticket. So that one, don't worry about it. Don't worry about tickets. Don't worry about all those ones. Those ones, they won't be asking that one on the interview. The one you should worry about is source and destination IP address and the port number. That one you should worry about that one. Don't worry about ticketing, all those internal. Those ones are those. Don't come with the job. So you do that one. You put that one in for control. Thank you, Mr. Nido, for control. Yes. And sometimes most companies they do internal audit, like accounting, so that when external auditor comes, they are good. They will so if you want an auditor to come and say this rule, who did the rule, and they don't know. So in most cases, most companies, the way they do it, when you put in a rule on the firewall, the firewall, I mean, you put their name and the date. One of the companies I work for, they do that. The other company, when they do that, when you save it, it will not pop up something. You will now put in those details, the ticket number. So companies they just do that. They just put ticket number. That ticket number, they cannot trace it. That ticket number will show who requested it and who worked the ticket. So every company is different. Some you do it and save it, and you just put the ticket number. The ticket number, they can go and look up the ticket. That ticket will show, okay, Victor worked the ticket. Ola requested the ticket. This is the date it was requested. This is the date it was. So if the auditor asks for it, they will just put it and give the auditor. He will look at it and say, okay, check mark, good. So that's why people do that. For auditing purposes, they normally will ask that information. But the main thing to note is those source, destination, and port number. As I said, some companies, they will give you a massive spreadsheet. Massive, like a big. You can't be going one by one looking which one. You don't do Control F. You put in the source IP address 192.168.1. It will now show you, okay, it's on Victor's firewall, it's on Dammy's firewall. I'm not giving an example. Of course, in the real world, it will be a different name. It will be maybe Netflix firewall, whatever it is. It will show, okay, this is the firewall. You will now go on, you will log into that firewall. You will log into that firewall. The company will provide all these details when you start the job. They will give you your login credentials. It will work. In most cases, there's something called SSO. So your login credentials will work the way to work. So when you log into your laptop, the same login you use to log into your laptop, is the same login you use to log into your applications. The no company wants you to remember like 10 passwords. You get what I'm saying? So that unique password that you use, it log into almost all your applications. It's the same detail you use to log into all other applications. So most companies want a uniform login. You get what I'm saying? So they can track it anyways. They can track who's using their application. So companies use something called SSO, secure sign-in, whatever it is. So what they do is that when you start in the business or in the company, they assign you your name and you determine your password. You put in your own password, determine your own password. That username and password is what you use to log into your firewall, what you use to log into your to do your health benefits, to log in to choose your social anything, to request for PTO, pay time off. It's the same username and password. So you are not remembering 10 different passwords. You get what I'm saying? Number two, even though you have that as your own username and password, some companies also have in such a way that if you are engineering role, engineering, you can log in into the firewall using an admin. Admin is that you are not logging in as Victor Tekobo. You are logging in as the admin. So the admin will be a username and password. That will be provided to you by the company or by your boss, depending on your clearance. You get what I'm saying? So let's say now the firewall fails and nobody can log in. I can't log into the firewall. You can't log in. If you are the engineer, there should be a way for you to log in. That's the administrative one. So there will be a username. You don't need it if that's not your clearance. I'm just giving this an example as you move up the ladder. You get what I'm saying? No, most people when they start, they just give them username and password, your own unique user identity. But the more you move up, the more they want you to help them troubleshoot. You get what I'm saying? So when you log in, username and password, you log in, you put in the source and destination, then you put in the port number, then you click accept. Then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, if your company allows you to push, then you do know your company's policy. If they say push after work hours, most companies don't let you push during work hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They don't. They don't want you to disrupt traffic. They don't want you to disrupt business. They don't want you to cause any outage. If you cause outage, you don't want to get fired. So no, some companies will let you do it at night. Most cases at night. And some companies you don't have to do it. They already outsource it. Companies outsource to India. So you just put in the details and now click next. Some companies have it in such a way that when you click next on the ticket, it pushes it to the Indian people. They'll do it. I'm not being racist, forgive me. I'm not saying they outsource it to people in India, Philippines. They'll do it. They will not let you know that it has been done. You close the ticket. Or some companies, if they are a smaller company, you will push the ticket yourself at night, 10 p.m. You just turn your laptop. You can be watching TV and be relaxing with your family. You turn your laptop, just push the firewall ticket and just send an email to the person or close the ticket. When you close the ticket, an automatic update will be sent to the person that requested the. You get what I'm saying? Now, from this IP addressing point of view that I put here, this source and destination. So if I put in 1.0/24, it means that I want everybody in my house to be covered. As I mentioned earlier, that .20 as an example will be me. .40 is my wife. .15 is my cell phone. .18 is my fridge. .10 is my TV. So I'm not requesting .20 because if I request .20, then I'll have to request .40. So instead of me requesting .20, .40, I'll just request this whole cider 192.168.1.0/24. You get what I'm saying? That is a cider, CIDR. We will look at it later. Just know IP address. Know what IP address does. Know what a subnet mask is. Know that. Know that it has 4 octets. 4 IPv4. IPv4. 4 octets. And has 32 bits. Now, let me give an example now. This source IP address I just posted below. Let me copy it and paste it again in the chat. Let check the chat. Is it /24 or /32? Choose one. Is it /24 or /32? It's just here, is A or B now. Everybody answer. Choose one. They have 4 octets. Okay, Olayemi, that is anybody else? I heard Olayemi is the one that's confident in answering the question. Vinicius /24. Okay, Okshola 24. Okay. All right. Olayemi is right. It's /32. The answer is there now. I put in the chat. See the first one I gave you. Source IP is 192.168.1.0/24. The 0 shows that it's a. Oh, let me put something in the chat right quick so you see what I'm talking about. Give me a second. I want to get something from the internet. Let me stop share. Let me get something from the internet right quick. Give me 30 seconds. So you can understand what I'm saying here. Oh, ciders. Cider. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Oh, no, not the calculator. Some reason you just have to memorize it. I don't know how to say it. Slide decider range. I don't want the calculator. I just want the. So I'm seeing the calculator. I want the notepad. Oh, let me see if I can get this. Okay, visit. Okay, I'll post this in the chat so you can read it in your spare time. Let me post it in the chat right quick. But please don't this thing. Don't be afraid, though. See, when you are learning something, your mind is expanding. People just get afraid. Just be happy. That means your mind is expanding. You are just expanding your mind. You are learning things differently. You get what I'm saying? So let me share my screen now. Let me show you something. Let me show you. Okay, let me show you this. This is the website ad, but let me show you. This is the website. Okay, see, /32. Let me show you /32. Where's /32? This is /32. It is 255.255.255.255. There's the top one. You are seeing that now. /24 is what? 255.255.255. The what? Dot zero. Dot zero. So Olayemi is right. It's /32. Why? Because as I mentioned earlier, if you look at the chart, look at the chart. You can't even want to put in binary if you want to. Anyhow, everybody understands it in different ways. Anybody, if you want to, in any way you want to understand, go and watch video on it. Watch video on IP addressing. Just watch it. There are 5 minutes video, 3 minutes video, 10 minutes video, IP addressing, subnet mask. Watch it. It will help explain more. Look at the chart. The first thing I put there is 192.168.1.0. So that .0 knows that is a /24. Why? Because I said, give an example. I want to include everybody in my family. The other one I put on there is 192.168.1.20. That's a /32. That is my IP address. I told you that's the IP address for my laptop. You get what I'm saying? When it's .0, it means that there are other IPs that can go under that .0. That last octet is what you should look at. The last octet, that 0 is what you should look at. So if you see a 0 there, it's automatically a /24. Because it means that there are other IPs that can go under it. I hope it makes sense. Please, when you see .0, it means that if there are 10 people in my house, they can connect using that .0. It will just assign them different IPs. He assigned me .20, he can assign somebody .18, he can assign somebody .15. And look at the last octet. You get what I'm saying? Please. Now, if you see that last octet occupied, is a /32 automatically. It means that all the 255.255.255.255 is already present. That's the subnet mask. I hope it makes sense. Don't worry. That's how it was when I was learning to. I mean, this what rubbish is this one now? What nonsense? It's good. You are expanding your mind. Just watch videos on YouTube on this. That will be your assignment for today. Watch videos on IP addressing. IP address. I'm going to round off now because I don't talk. Make I go rest. Sorry, for those that don't start pitching, I've been talking for a minute. I need to relax. You know, some people don't understand when you start speaking all this Nigerian colloquialism. Let's put it that way. But if you understand pidgin, trust me, you are doing well. All right. So that's one. Just know it. If you see .0, I'll present my screen again. Let me share my screen and show you that. See. This thing I just memorized it, and the main thing to memorize, to be honest with you, is /32 and /24. That's the main thing that we see. /24, you see that the subnet mask is 255.255.255. So in most cases, you are dealing with the last octet. You are not dealing with the first octet. It's the last octet, the last one. So when you see that .0, it's automatically /24. That's it, and you see that is what /24. That's the cider. But when you see the one I gave you check the chart and I put .18, .15, it could be any number, .2. That last octet, if that last octet is already occupied, it's a /32. That means that all the subnet mask is already occupied. When you see .0, that means that I can allow as much as possible. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So when you get your internet from Comcast, whatever it is you use, it's going to assign you something like a /24. It means that any device you use we have an IP address. So let's say it was assigned to you. Look at the chart. 192.168, as I put there, .1.15. That's your printer. That is your printer's IP address. But your internet is going to give you 192.168.1.0, knowing that you will have people. If I come to your house as a visitor and I say, give me your Wi-Fi, when you give me your Wi-Fi, it's going to assign me what? An IP address. The IP address can be 192.168.1.82. Look at the last what? Octet. It's the fourth octet that determines everything. The fourth one, that .20. The last octet determines the CIDR and the subnet mask. Know that and no peace. But in most cases, you will deal with /24 and /32. I can give you 80% of the time. Now they'll be /12, /16. I just use a calculator for that one. I beg. I know, but those two you will see a lot. That's why I know it. You will see that a lot. So we just, like if I'm requesting something for my house, I will do a /24 because I don't want my son to come later and say, "Oh, Daddy, I can't connect on my laptop," and I'll be asking again. Instead of me asking twice, I'll just do a whole subnet mask, a CIDR, and just say, put my CIDR. Make sure this one is allowed on the firewall. I'm just giving an example. If my CIDR is allowed, that means anybody coming to my house can connect. That .0, make sure that everybody can connect, because even if the internet assigns another .1, .20, you see below, .15, .2, .82, .52, .92, whatever it is, they will be able to connect. I don't have to be asking one by one. If visitor has come, help them connect. You are disturbing me as the firewall administrator. You are disturbing me. Give me a CIDR. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes, even when some people come and we know that they normally bug us, when they give me the 192.168.1.20, I will not do .20. I will do .0/24. Why? Don't disturb me. I have things to work on. I will do /24 for them. We have a company we do for Japan. So Japan, we have a company in Japan that we work with. They request this a lot. So we do /24 for them, /10, /15. Why? So they are not disturbing us. You get what I'm saying? So they are not asking over and over again, disturbing us. So we do /24 for them so that everybody in their office, if they are trying to connect on the whole office, they can connect. You get what I'm saying? So just see that the IP address, know what IP address does. Know that it has 4 octets. And in most cases, you are working with the 4th octet. You are working with what? The 4th octet, the 4th one. And in most cases, you'll be working with /24 and /32. /32 is the question I gave you. 192.168.1.20 is a /32. That last octet has already been assigned. .0, that's /24. It means that other IPs can come. You get what I'm saying? Other IPs can come under. That means you have 10 visitors in your house, you have a party in your house, and everybody's trying to connect to the internet. It will assign them different IP addresses. Based on what? The last octet, that .0 can translate to any IP address, depending on how many users you have in your house. You get what I'm saying? So /24, that does memorize it. If you see a .0 in the last octet, is a /24. If you see a number that is not 0.2, so that okay, let me give an example now. 192.168.1.95. Is it a /24 or /32? If you know this answer, you will leave this class. I'm sorry, I don't want to put pressure on you. You know me, I'm not a teacher. Well, what's the answer? Put in the chat. Thank you very much. Because the last octet is there. The 95 shows you that it's already been occupied. No, it's on the chart. I put it on the chart, please. It's in chat. So you see that it is the last octet. Can you see the chart, please? Okay. So the last octet shows you that .95 shows that has been assigned. A laptop, an iPhone, Android, printer, fridge, freezer, television, they have that IP address. Now, 192.168.0 is it /24 or /32? Now, I can say 192.168.56.0. Let me do that example. /24. 45.67.89.0. Slash 24 or slash 32? Which one? Answer now. Who's in the chat? I will not. Yeah, please get involved. Thank you. Slash 20. It doesn't matter. 2.2.2.0. That, see, focus on the last octet. If you focus on the other numbers, you confuse yourself. Now, there's private IP address and public IP address. We'll discuss that one later. Because now, this like 45.67.89, you know that's a public IP address. Just with experience. This 192 sometimes can be a private IP address. But what focus on what? The last octet for your subnet mask. If that last octet is a 0, is a slash 24. It means that other IPs can be allowed based on the need. It can expand. If you see a number like 45.67.89.23, it means that based on that last octet, you know that that's the what? It's slash 32. That means that last octet has assigned it, thank you, sir, to someone. It has been assigned to a laptop, to something. Just know that. I will just stop there so that you're not, but go and watch videos on IP addressing. Watch it and you'll be fine. I think I will stop here for now. Any questions, any comments? I hope you can see my screen. Any questions, any comments? So what we'll do next week is to look at the ranges of IPs. Like now, that 192, what class is it? That, okay, the 192.168 that I gave you, based on this table, I believe you can see my screen. Is it class A, class B, or class C? 192. Whatever I give you, what class is it? Please put in the chat quickly. The 192 IP address I gave you, what class? Thank you. Class C. I mean, but nobody was that one. That one, don't. They don't have to ask you. If a 30-minute interview, they will be asking what class is this one. It's a class C. It's already there. It's very, I mean, the 45.52. What class is that one? That 45. What class is that one? Based on the table here. Answer quickly now. The 45.67.89. What class? You are looking at class. You're looking at the last tech now. You're looking at class. If you're looking at class, what will you look at? What class? Okay, let me. Don't be scared. I like all that. Your level is it's A. It's class A. For class, look at the first octet. It's class A. 45. Class A is between 1 to what? 126. So it's class A. 45. If it's the first octet. 45. If you do that 45, you already know that it's only class A. The 192 is class C. Is the first what? Octet. So you're looking at the class. Is what? The first octet. If you're looking at the class, is the first octet. If you're looking at CIDRs, if you're looking at the subnet mask, it is the fourth octet. That's the main one you'll be dealing with. Nobody deals with class. You can deal with private IP address and public IP address. We will talk about that one next week. But the main thing is knowing that just that link, go on that link, just read it, watch some videos on it. God bless you. Any questions or comments, contributions?